Welcome to Five Reasons Sports Network and to Batter Up once again. I am Martin Batter. I'm here with Alison Footer from MLB.com. She's a reporter. She covers a variety of teams for the website, and we're here to talk about what has rocked the sports world today. Is that the Marlins, they have a bunch of positive cases. 6 players and 2 coaches tested positive today. You had the Alfaro positive a couple of days ago. And it just seems like a sadly predictable yet dire situation for Major League Baseball. Allison, where does baseball go from here?
It's hard to say because a couple of days ago I was really optimistic. I was like, everyone is taking this seriously. You see the masks; they seem to understand the social distancing, the stakes that they're presented with, the fact that there's older coaches and older managers, and everyone needs to kind of look out for each other. So I was feeling really good about things, really up until I woke up this morning. And I don't know where they go from here. I mean, I don't know that an outbreak on one team would necessarily shut everything down, but it's definitely alarming because teams are now traveling. And, when you get on buses, you go to hotels, you go into the clubhouse. I'm not so sure that contamination of objects is such a worry, but it's just the natural act of multiple people breathing around each other in a small space. And so it's very disconcerting, and we're just going to have to kind of wait and see what happens. But it's a wake-up call, and I don't know if it's a wake-up call that's a little bit too late, but if players haven't gotten it by now, then they probably never will. But I think that the majority of people do understand what's going on, and so we'll just have to see what they decide from here.
Well, it's a chain reaction, isn't it? Because it's not just that they canceled Orioles, Marlins, and Yankees fields because the Yankees will have to go into the same visiting clubhouse the Marlins occupied just 24 hours ago, but also the Marlins played the Braves in an exhibition games a couple of days ago, right? And then the Braves played the Mets in New York. The Mets go somewhere else, and the Braves go somewhere else after their series was over yesterday. So who knows who they were in contact with, or which other cities could be in dire straits because of that chain reaction of different travel, different places, different cities. How is that sustainable for 3 months?
Yeah, I think we're seeing that it might not be. I tried to stop questioning every single thing. Before the regular season started, the Astros went to Kansas City for exhibition games. And I thought, why are they flying to Kansas City to play exhibition games? So does the COVID not kick in until you're actually playing games that count in the standings? I mean, you get to the point where I think my incredulousness is all the way up here, and so I'm going to just go with it. But it made no sense to me why a team would get on a bus to go to an airport, to go to another city and stay in a hotel. And so, yeah, this chain reaction where you don't, and that's where the whole contact tracing is. Just for normal times in this country, you're supposed to, contact anybody who might have come in contact with the virus, and everyone's supposed to quarantine. And this is a huge undertaking because everyone is, in sports, you're doing what everybody's not supposed to be doing, which is gathering together in small spaces. Now, the last round of tests, there were 6 positives of 10,000 tests being taken, and we were all like, yay. But things hadn't really gotten rolling yet. And now that things are getting rolling, it's very alarming.
And look, I know that the fans think, don't take away my sports, and their fear is, don't take away my baseball, don't take away my football, don't take away my only ray of sunshine that I have in this crappy 2020. But what do the fans need to understand about the situation we're in right now? And it's not taking away anything. It's that it may not be plausible to put health over fun right now. Or fun over health, I mean. Health over fun will be the thing that we will have to put.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a really delicate line because we need sports in a lot of ways. First of all, financially, they need to be playing games. I mean, there is a huge loss that is being absorbed every day that you don't have games being played. You know, if you want, and you know, the people in the government, leaders, people on TV, they have been saying, if you want, you know, college football in the fall, for example, you got to stay out of the bars. You got to wear a mask. You have to do something to get this thing under control in this country, which we have not done. And so this is a microcosm of everything going on. So yeah, I mean, fans need to understand, I think, that baseball players are not exempt from exposure to this thing. And that's where everything is so different when you have a health crisis. No one is exempt from it. I mean, it makes me so nervous when I see older managers who have had health problems, who are compromised, and they're like wearing their masks. You know, is that going to be enough? And then I see sometimes they don't have the masks on. You know, everyone was laughing at, like, when the umpire and the Pirates manager were going to go argue with each other, they first had to put on their masks. And my question was, why are they now putting on their masks? Like, the mask should have been on, right? So I mean, I'm getting off on a tangent, but the general overlying feeling is, and like Sean Doolittle said it perfectly, right? Like, sports is a function of a healthy, functional society. And we're not functioning healthy right now, and sports are very threatened.
And people see that the NBA is in a bubble. Baseball is not in a bubble. Let's get a little bit into a fantasy world, if you might, and just let's say we can pause baseball for 2 weeks and they can come up with a bubble plan. Is that realistic, or are we just too far down the road where it's this regular season of 60 games of travel or nothing?
Well, I think it's probably a little bit too late. And I think that, I mean, I get the decision to not have the bubble because we have to remember that the NBA season was close to being over. I mean, the sports that are playing in the bubble just needed to get to the finish line. Baseball had a whole season to try to figure out. And so I think, like, back then.
Wait, baseball is around the same length as the NBA season is going to be, because remember, the NBA finals aren't going to be until September. So the games are fewer, but the NBA's games are fewer and far between than baseball, which plays every day. But the length of time is actually going to be the same. The isolation time will actually be the same.
Right. Yeah, that's the point. And I would also ask, like, well, how many teams are still going to be in it once the postseason starts, as opposed to having, you know, baseball teams all 30. I mean, there's an argument to be made there for sure. But I think when they were looking at trying to get maybe a 4-month season and a month of playoffs, I mean, back then, remember, we were thinking about playing all the way through November. There were all kinds of things being thrown out there. Yeah, there's not a perfect solution to any of this, but I think that the baseball players really just didn't want the bubble, and so that thing kind of quickly went by the wayside. And in order to have a bubble functioning successfully, you have to have people buying into it and complying to all the regulations and the protocols. And I think there might have been some hesitation as to, can they really pull this off? I don't know. I mean, I guess you could try to pull something together in Phoenix. Wow, that just makes my head hurt thinking about, like, starting over at at Plan A after all of this. It depends on how desperate they are and how insurmountable they see what's happening currently. How they might be able to get past that. Well, I can tell you, if I'm the commissioner of baseball, I'm not sending a single person to Florida. There's no chance that as a baseball player I would go, and I don't think there's any chance that the commissioner would allow for many, many people. I mean, obviously the Marlins and the Rays are there. There's only so much you can do to control that, but I don't think that mass amounts of people would be permitted to go to Florida. Texas is, you've got 2 major league ballparks. The Rangers actually have their old ballpark that I believe has not been decomposed or anything. I think that they might have some of their, taxi squad guys that might be working out there. Then you have some nice minor league parks. It's really hot here and those are open roof, but there are some nice minor league parks that are not that far away. It's possible to do it. My goodness, it would just take a lot of planning. And then you'd have to stop and then start up in another couple weeks. Look what has happened to some major starting pitchers just in the last few days, getting hurt. Straining this, back tightness, a little forearm. And that might be because things ramped up too quickly. It's hard to really say. So if you have to stop this whole thing and then start again, you're going to have to give these guys spring training 3.0. I mean, and then all of a sudden we're getting to, September. And I don't know that that's going to be the solution.
Yeah, and look, you have covered many games for a long time. I worked in baseball for 2 years with the Diamondbacks, and we know that the fans see the players on the field and the coaches in the dugout, but the operation goes so far down, more beyond that. I mean, you have the clubbies, you have the security people, you have the public relations staff. It's not just the 9 guys that we see on the lineup, and the ones that we don't see may be the ones that are most at risk. So it's a delicate balance, not only for Major League Baseball's players and coaches, but the staff that they have to take care of. It just seems like it's so heavy and so dire for everyone, where, like you said, like a young Jose Urena might be able to recover just fine. But what about the 2 coaches? I mean, I can't imagine how Don Mattingly feels right now, knowing that 2 of his coaches might have long-term damage because of something he exposed them to. I mean, to ask people to carry that guilt is also a high price to pay that doesn't have anything to do with money.
Right. And you have to think like one life lost is one too many, right? And that's the scary thing. I remember months ago when this whole thing started and my friends were asking like, what's baseball going to do? And I said, they can't have even like a bus driver who's transporting teams from the hotel to the ballpark die, and I mean, it's such a morbid way to talk, but you can't have anybody losing a life on your watch. And, it's just a risk. I do believe that if you're wearing a mask and I'm wearing a mask and we're actually in the same room, which we're not, obviously, because we're talking on Skype, but, we would be protected. I would feel very protected. I feel protected when I go to the grocery store and everyone's wearing a mask and I'm wearing a mask. But the problem is that sometimes these masks come off because you're playing a sport at the very highest level, and it's just not reasonable for everybody to be wearing masks when they have to be doing what they do. And then you have to trust everybody to not go to public places. And I think 90%, I think you can get a 90% success rate, maybe 95, and you need 100% participation. And I think we're seeing what's happening when you're not getting that.
Yeah, and look, Eduardo Rodriguez from the Red Sox, the pitcher, he said that he had a heart condition brought on by COVID-19. So it's not even the extreme nature of dying. It's about the damage that the disease does, and we don't even know the extent of the damage that disease can do. But look, baseball feels great when it's back, but you, Alison Footer, do you think that we're going to see 60 games plus playoffs, or are you pessimistic about the completion of the season?
Oh my goodness, that puts me on the spot because I mean, yeah, if we'd been talking yesterday, I'd be like, yeah, totally, it's fine. We're doing well. I don't know that we're going to see 60 for every team because we've already seen 2 games that are being canceled. I think that there's a chance that we could see it to completion. I mean, I really gave it like a 60% chance for the season to start and about a 40% chance to see it finished. And so I would think, maybe my feeling is I'm a little more optimistic, but this is just a tough one to pull off. And it's to no fault of anybody. I mean, trying to do this in the middle of a pandemic was a really bold, risky undertaking. And so I think there's a chance that the season may not be completed.
What steps would you like to see baseball take, like starting with a statement? What would you like them to do with the Marlins and the rest of the league as we move forward?
Oh gosh, what would I want to see them do? Well, you have to quarantine everyone. I mean, you're going to anybody who has tested positive, who has been exposed. I mean, they need to be quarantined. for 14 days. And it's not that, we need 2 negative tests within 24 hours. Everybody's got to shut it down. That's why you have a pool of 60. You can get some players. And it might be just a situation where they're going to have to be more stringent with wearing masks at all times, limiting the amount of guys who can take a shower after a game, maybe limiting the amount of time that they can even spend there. Maybe it's a show and go every day. Maybe you can't come in the clubhouse until 40 minutes before the game starts. I mean, these things, you're opening it up to injuries, especially on your pitching staff. So I don't know what the answer is, but I know that when I watch in Houston, when I watch coaches who are like over 70, it makes me very upset because I'm like, this is dangerous and this isn't necessary. And I don't know what we're all trying to prove here. I'd like to maybe just see even more extreme measures being taken to have everybody gathering at one park. Let me tell you something. We had a choice as reporters whether we covered games at home or in the press box, and my exact answer was, some of these people that I'm in the press box with are lifelong friends, and I will see them in 2021. I'm out. I do not want to be around these people. I don't know what they're doing in their spare time. I don't know what the temperature takers are doing in their spare time, who are coming up and, when you walk into the ballpark. So,
your head.
Yeah, it's just a scary time. And, I don't know what the answer is.
Thank you, Alison. Have a great rest of the week and a great season. And, we'll be reading you on MLB.com. And where can we follow you on Twitter?
My name, Allison Footer with a Y.
And one S, right?
ALYSON, yes.
Thank you, Alison.
Thank you, Martin.